everyone. I'm happy that you're here to make art today. And we will be painting and drawing a really cool lion. This lion is inspired by an amazing book with beautiful illustrations, and it's called The Lion and the Mouse. And in this story, this little mouse actually saves this big lion and rescues him. And it's made all in watercolor, so we're going to follow the same type of illustration, and we're going to start with pencil eraser to do our little sketch, and then we will continue adding a little bit of white oil pastel for a resist technique with pan watercolors. If you have different size brushes, that would really help. Just a medium-sized brush and what I call the ballerina brush, which is a smaller brush. If you have watercolor paper, I encourage you to use that. Otherwise, use drawing paper, which is what I'm using. So let's get started. All right, we're ready to start our lion. So before we start, I just wanted to show you again the original illustration from the book. And so we have a beautiful lion, and we'll refer to this as we go along to look at all the different textures, the different colors. So we have all kinds of shades of yellows and oranges and browns and highlights and dark shades that give the image a lot of texture. And on the back we have the mouse. So this is about the lion and the mouse. So we're going to start. I'm going to show you this other handout, which is really useful for this project, and it has just the black lines and also the shadow that we will use at a later time, but you can refer to this handout as you're doing your own lion. It's really useful. So I'm going to put this aside, and we're going to go step by step, starting with our lion. So I'm going to start. If you have watercolor paper, again, I suggest you use it. But if you have just drawing paper, which is what I'm using, I'm going to use that. So I'm going to start with an upside down U for the nose. And I'm using pencil so that I can erase as I go. And then kind of like a little wavy line at the bottom. And then two angle lines on the side. This is the side of the nose, and a V shape, a wide V shape here. Then we're going to add at the end of our angle lines will be our eyes. So they are again kind of an almond shape eyes. So try to make them symmetrical, kind of even on each side. And then we have two circles right here. And right now I'm just going to do, when you do your sketch first, just try to do your best, and then we can come back later and make adjustments, erase. And here is going to be actually the pupil. So he's looking at the little mouse that's down there. And I think maybe I'm going to adjust this a little later. So I'll come back a little later. And then here is this part of the mouse. And then I'm going to draw a large circle right here. And then we're going to add our ears. Have just enough space for my ears. And then right here is kind of like part of whiskers. Thinking maybe the ears are a little bit too big. Yeah, maybe a little bit too big. And then I'm just going to add some lines, so to give me a sense of where just a few lines, not too many, but this is still helpful. And we have a few lines right here in my ears and around, so this is all part of the mane. Now, if you wanted to add the little mouse right here, she's looking at the little mouse that's going to be right here. I'm going to start with, actually I should have done this before. Don't make too many lines here. I'm going to add an eye, and the little mouse is looking up this way to the lion, and then I have kind of the nose going this way, and the little mouth, and then I'm going to add some nice big ears. So this is one ear, and the other one is showing up on the other side, and then I have the back, just kind of a little curved line that goes back to the front, and then we have the little paw. And I'm going to close this little line, and then we have the little feet right here. So there we have it. Now we're going to fill in the black areas here. I'm going to erase this little line and maybe adjust, so you can make some adjustments. As right now I'm kind of finished with the sketch, but I'm going to adjust a little bit this eye. So when you sketch, just go slow. Okay, so this one here is going to be definitely dark. So I'm just going to fill it in with my pencil. And this will kind of help us for the next step. And we have also the nose. So if I wanted to make it a little bit bigger, I'm gonna stretch this one here. So this is the time when you kind of make adjustments. And I'm going to erase this and make it into just kind of little lines like this. So the initial circles were kind of holding the space for us, but now we can erase some of these a little bit and just add some basically fur lines. So here's a little fur line going this way. And now it's really important the way you hatch. This is kind of hatching. So the way the fur goes, and fur, the same thing here. I'm gonna have my fur go kind of this way, and along here. And my lion looks more like a little baby lion. He looks much younger than the one in the picture, and that's okay. Each lion is gonna be a little bit different. And same thing with these lines. I am going to add the lines going this way. And maybe another one here. And around the eyes also we have, they're not eyebrows, but they're just around. And now I can start erasing a little bit this line. And just adding all that texture. A little bit more here. Now inside my ears we have bigger ones. kind of like this. And then this one here, actually we want that one to be a strong line. And then this one, we can kind of fill it in. And I also want to outline a little bit more my eyes right here. So it makes the eyes a little bit more dramatic looking. And again right here. We have some small lines going this way. And our little mouse here also should have some shadows inside the ears. So I think once we have our sketch pretty much done, we can start thinking about painting. So once my sketch is done, I have my watercolors ready and my white oil pastel, and I want to look again at the colors. So this is going to be a lot of layering of colors. Our lightest color will be a very pale yellow, and then we'll move on to kind of an orange, a light orange, and we'll mix a little bit of orange and brown to make it a little bit darker. And so we have different shades of oranges and browns, and even a darker brown, light brown, and really dark browns in here, and a reddish brown. So we're going to work on layering all the colors. The first step though is to add all the whites. So we have white around the nose at this part, and then we want to add lots of white around in here so that it creates texture when we paint over with our watercolors. So I have my oil pastel here, white oil pastel, and I'm going to use it to add white around. So I see on the picture there's white around here. There's white, really important white in the eye to make kind of a reflection, and I'm going to add white here too inside my eye. And we have white around the nose here. So I'm gonna go in, and then we have some around here. And lots of white here actually. So in here, even though I don't really see it, right, you will see it a lot when you paint over it. So I'm gonna continue adding white, just white, short, short little strokes like this everywhere around my lion until I have, covered a lot in the lion so that it gives us texture. So here's my mane, but there's more. I can see that there's more here, so I'm going to be really purposefully put a lot more here, and there's some here too, maybe around the ears. Should be a little bit of white. And the other forget. So just, oh, and especially the whiskers. We don't want to forget big whiskers. Don't want to forget those. So once I have enough white, I am ready to paint. And I'm going to start with the lightest color, which will be a light yellow. And I'm going to make a wash. So I'm going to be careful not to go inside the eyes. And I'm going to make it kind of watery, so it's light. And I can already see the white oil pastel showing up. Resist. So I'm going to continue with first a light yellow, and then I'm going to build it up to mix it with a little bit of orange, and then I'll see you in just a little bit. So the first step is done. Basically, this is my first layer of light yellow, and I did start adding a little bit of orange right here, but this is basically the second step, is to add a little bit of orange into your darker areas. So, and remember, we're working fast because it's watercolor, and light. So you want your paint to be really light, and layering, so little by little and very gently you're going to add your orange and spread it out so it doesn't stay, you know, really dark. It's really little by little. So this is the beauty of, you know, a beautiful watercolor painting. You have to really look at where your darks and your lights, your shadows, to make it realistic. So right now we're trying to do a realistic-ish watercolor painting of this beautiful lion. Now it has to be slow. It's kind of building. You know, in here it's a little bit too much, so I'm going to soften it up. So you work with slow, kind of slow brush strokes as you go. Go back and get some. And so I'm going to continue with my orange layer, and just take your time. So now I'm going to continue adding. The next layer will be with a little bit more brown. So you can mix a little bit of your orange with a light brown if you have one. And again, adding darker values to, I can still just go here and test it out first and see if it is a little bit darker. So I'm going to go a little bit darker inside my ears and just around the different shapes of the face, and small strokes to mimic fur. So right here I need to be much darker, so as you go you'll see, you know, where you need to be darker. So I can see in here I should be a little bit darker. So every time you add this little darker shadow will make your shapes kind of come to life, your line come to life. So I am liking this. So go slow again. You have to build it up. you have to resist the impulse of, okay, I want to go dark really fast. It's the building up. So I'm going to continue. This is, right now I'm using a light brown, and I'm going to continue around adding light brown. I'm now ready to add a little bit of a darker brown, and I've also been building up the little mouse as I went. So I did the same thing, layer of yellow, orange, and a light brown. And now we're going to start adding a little bit of a darker brown. So I have my darker brown right here, which is a nice kind of a reddish brown, which is just perfect for what we need. So again, I'm just gonna go around, and it's really important where you place your shadows. And you can also use a smaller brush if you have one, but I'm still using my medium brush, not yet going to, you know, the small ballerina brush, because we're still building up. So again, just look for your darker, you know, where you need your darker shadows and areas, and little by little our lion seems to be coming to life. And maybe you have given him a name. So when you're painting an animal, it's so cool because you kind of make them your own. So let's continue adding more depth to our painting. So now we're almost, not quite done, but we're getting there, and we need to add a much darker brown, kind of like right here at the edge, behind the ears, inside the ears, some around the face to really bring out the face, around this area right here, and throughout, just a few more darker brown. So brush strokes. So I have my dark brown here. Now if I want to make it darker, I can use less water. So just using the pure, almost just without diluting it, it will be already way darker. So that will be my first layer. But then I can also add a little bit of black to make it a little bit darker. So again, continue working in layers. So first I'm going to do just straight brown, and then I'm adding a little bit of black to my brown. So I've now transitioned to my ballerina brush for the last portion of the very dark brown. I'm going to clean it really well, and I'm going to see if I can add a little bit of yellow to my lion's eyes. So in here, I know that I have my white oil pastel, and I'm going to add just a little bit of yellow. His eyes are kind of a little bit of a yellowish tint. There we go. And I can see maybe even just a little bit of orange, just a little bit. Now we've been building up the little mouse as we've gone along, and I'm gonna add maybe a little bit of pinkish red into my ears, just right here, just a little bit. And then we're going to go with, again, I have this is ballerina brush, my smallest brush, and I'm gonna go with a dark and not watery to add the darks, which are so important. So the black in the nose, the black in the eyes, and we don't want to forget our whiskers, and just see where you might need just a touch of, you know, like a dark shadow.